Stand for our invocation. And remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for your gracious blessings of having us gather. We ask that you guide our council and our mayor, that they would do the things that you wish them to do in order to move our city forward. In these things we ask. Amen. Roll call, President Small, Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn. Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
President Small and Councilman Penn are both out of town, so I'll be chairing the meeting this morning as the Vice President. The rules of our council meeting are fairly simple. We just ask that everyone please turn off all of your electronic devices or put them on silent. Anyone who desires to come to address the council has to register upon the entering the meeting area. When addressing the council, the speaker must also give us their name and address for the record. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. This is the old rules. Sorry about that. They're given 3 minutes to address the council, and a bell will indicate when you've got 1 minute left. We also ask that decorum is maintained in these meetings. No undue applause or public outcry is allowed. When you address the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will then recognize any council member who wishes to respond to that. And anyone who desires to speak to the council on non-agenda items has to contact the city clerk's office no later than 2 o'clock on the Thursday prior to the coming council meeting on that subject that he or she wishes to address. Those persons who are wishing to speak to the council on agenda items must indicate what the resolution is, the ordinance, the appeal, or public hearing when you sign in at the door. Those are our council rules, and we just appreciate everybody following those. Thank you very much. Ms. Lambert.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. Communications from the mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning,
everybody, this morning.
Good.
This is a very exciting day, in my opinion, for the city of Mobile. A few weeks ago, I have received a phone call from Danny Lifford telling me that he wanted to give a gift to the city. And I'm thinking, golly, with what all Danny does, what kind of gift does he want to give us? A house? What really wasn't sure, but just to remind you and tell you what all Danny has done. But we know that he's America's home improvement expert. And as the host of the Emmy-nominated, nationally syndicated Today's Homeowner TV and radio shows, podcast, and the destination website, todayshomeowner.com, Danny is always delivering fresh, practical, and trusted advice for maintaining and improving our homes. Backed by his 40-plus year remodeling career, Danny served as home improvement expert for CBS's The Early Show and the Weather Channel for more than a decade. His extensive hands-on experience and understanding of the industry made him the go-to source for all things having to do with home improvement advice, and for simpler repairs all the way to complete rebuilds. Danny's made more than 190 national television appearances, most recently on Fox and Friends, Headline News, Inside Edition, and the Fox Business Channel. He's also been a longtime contributor to Better Homes and Garden and is an expert source for hundreds of other popular magazines and websites each year. Here today to tell us about his gift to the city of Mobile is Danny, and he will introduce a couple of his team members as he comes up. So, Danny, we're excited.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Simpson, and I'm certainly glad to be in front of the council today. I want to introduce some people that are with me here. My daughter, Chelsea Lippard Wolf, who is also my co-host of my television show, and also the Vice President and General Manager of my media company, Today's Homeowner Media, Stephanie Greenwood. First of all, we come here today with no complaints. We come here today asking for nothing. But we do come here today bearing a little gift that I hope you'll find pleasing to the city. You know, I've lived here for 47 years. I've raised my family here. I'm raising my grandchildren here. I built 2 businesses, Lippert Construction, which just celebrated our 43rd year in business, remodeling thousands of homes throughout every neighborhood in Mobile. And then my Today's Homeowner Media company continues to grow throughout the country. And, you know, over the years, I've had an opportunity to bring in hundreds and hundreds of people to Mobile. Friends, relatives, and a lot of business associates that come in and do a lot of video projects with us and so forth. And so I have to do my little Danny tour. You know, I've got to take them down Government Street so that they can marvel at our oak trees. I have to swing through some of the neighborhoods, some of which that I've remodeled homes, and show them some of the things we have there. Of course, we have to head downtown and have some food and various other things. The Duffy Oak, of course, is one stop on my tour. And it's always fun to hear the reaction. Almost all of them will say, wow, I had no idea Mobile had so much going for it. I had no idea there was so much to do here. So I started thinking about that and started thinking about how I could use some of my resources to be able to expand on that a little bit. I like to be the ambassador and like to really talk about the town that I live in. And I'm not going anywhere. Suddenly, you know, certainly I've been here a long time, will be here a long time. But in order to better understand the gift I'm about to present to the city, I'd like to show you just a short video of the extensive resources I have, some the mayor mentioned, to be able to really amplify this message that Mobile is a pretty cool place to live, to visit, and spend a little money. Thank you. Now, everything you just saw started in Mobile, still originates out of Mobile, though I have offices in Chicago and in New York and in Indiana. Everything originates right here. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is, even though you saw we've taped over 500 episodes here, we didn't hide the fact where we were filming the shows, but we didn't exploit it at all. That's something that we're going to do right now. We're taping 16 episodes in the next 12 months in Mobile, Mobile houses, Mobile homeowners, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of the cool places we have. We're going to show more places of interest, so we're going to kind of amp that up a little bit. Now, if you follow very many home improvement shows, you've seen some that were originated out of Waco, Texas, Laurel, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, and it's done quite well for that economy and just the awareness, because there's something about the South and something that pulls people here for what we do, and of course we know all about it. And this is something that I just want to amp up a little bit. And I've recently met with David Clark and his great team from Visit Mobile, and also Mayor Stimpson's team, and kind of shared my vision of what I have in mind. And they're with me. And so I'm here today to present to the city of Mobile a media gift of $250,000. Now, these resources will allow me to create, through my Three Echoes production company, so you see a few of them around here today, a national level 30-second TV commercial touting the benefits of living and visiting Mobile. We will also produce 2 30-second radio commercials for the same reason. Then I'm going to air that commercial 40 times on my television show. That'll reach and create 80 million impressions for the city of Mobile throughout the country. And keep in mind, I'm in 92% of the country. It will make a difference. Also on my radio commercials, we will air those 52 times. That will reach over 18 million people. Now, we will also provide all of the assets that we create to Visit Mobile, the Chamber of Commerce, the Mayor's Office, anybody that can need it to help us spread the message. We will provide every bit of that information. There's absolutely no cost involved in any of this whatsoever. We will also, on our large social media platforms, post a lot of this information right now. Okay, right now, every face that's looking at me going, yeah, what does he want? What does he want? Where is he headed with this thing? Well, I'll tell you what we need. Absolutely nothing. Why am I doing this? Well, I live here. I want to promote where I'm at. We got a pretty cool place. I've got resources to be able to tell people about it, and I'm pretty proud where I live, and that's all I need right there. So I do feel strongly that this will increase the number of people that come to Mobile, visit Mobile, and spend money in Mobile. So we're ready to get started immediately in delivering everything that I just mentioned and more. And maybe this will serve as a bit of a catalyst, or maybe even a challenge for some other business to go, I wonder how I can do that. Certainly, we would be glad to help anybody else get involved that would like to tout Mobile. It's going to help us all the way down the line. We'll also be announcing a special community service project that will take place later in the year, that we will harness hundreds of people from Mobile to do something that'll beautify Mobile more. We're still looking for that special project that we want to harness all of these people. And you know Mobilians, they'll step forward and they'll help on that. Oh, by the way, we'll be taping that episode. That'll be the first episode of our 25th season on national television. Hey, thanks for allowing me to appear before you today. We're ready to start spreading the word. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Wow. Danny's knowledge of home remodeling is only exceeded by his passion. And I think that passion for his city is going to come through with everything that he does. And when he was telling me on the phone a few weeks ago what he had in mind, I'm saying, Danny, you have no idea what you're participating in right now. And I said, really, it's an answer to prayer. And that is this, that we had hoped that when we did the 100-day plan and the 1,000-day framework, that we would show in that 100-day plan of all the things that were going on that was creating the momentum that we wanted for the city of Mobile, that people who had the ability would get off the sidelines and help us promote the city. And so, Danny, you've done just that, and the challenge that you just issued to other business owners and individuals in the city, I think that the outcome of that's going to really, in the future, is just going to be immeasurable. So thank you, and thank you, Chelsea, and we just really appreciate all that y'all are doing, Stephanie. So let's go get them, okay? All right. Thank y'all very much.
Well, not so much a question, but a big thank you, because it's not often, if ever, that someone gives the city or anybody else all this free media coverage, especially not to that tune, $250,000. And I see David's team over there nodding their heads in agreement. So thank you very much. That's great for the city. We really appreciate all that you do. And I look forward to your community projects. Please
Okay.
keep us posted so that we can be involved and help promote that.
You'll hear all about it.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Danny, if y'all want to be excused, y'all could go ahead and leave. And Madam Clerk and Madam President, that concludes my remarks for the day. Thank y'all very much, Danny.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on March the 19th in Melville Park and May 7th at the Bragg Mitchell Mansion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One moment, please. Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to rezone property located at 4230 Halls Mill Road from B3 to I1.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this, please come down to the podium. Okay, with that then, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to declare the structures at 963 Donald Street, 1818 Indian Creek Drive South, 3352 Dolphin Island Parkway, and 714 Iris Avenue public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Madam Chair.
Hang on. These are public hearings, so if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to any of these, please come on down to the podium. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, just from pre-council, believe we were going to table the 3352 Dolphin Island Parkway.
We are, but it's still on the agenda for a public hearing. So if anyone is in the audience who would like to speak to any of these, please come to the podium. Okay, with that then, the public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Mary Morris.
Good morning,
Morning.
Mayor Snipes and the City Councilman. I'm here today, this
Ms. Morris, would
morning,
you
to
give us your-
register a
Ms. Morris, would you
complaint.
give us your name and address for the
Oh,
record?
I'm
please?
sorry.
That's fine.
My name is Mary Morris. I live in District 2, 507 Patton Avenue, for over 50, or right at 60 years. I'm here today to register a complaint about my property and the work that was done from the new review from my councilman. I have the letter here that I received from the mayor and the city councilman that I was approved. When the persons came to my home, my residence, to check out what was supposed to have been done, I was informed that they had already been there and took pictures. And it seemed that it was more damage done than good. I have pictures to show if I'm permitted to leave them, or to, I know I don't have time to show them, but I'll leave a folder. I'm asking the mayor and the city councilman if they want to investigate it, because I have a lot of property damage done, and the pictures will show what was done and what was not done. So I'm just asking if you will receive this information and have it investigated and have it redone, because it's horrible, and I don't really like what was done to my property. I had a lot of property damage, and I'm very disappointed. And I'm sure that none of you would want your home to be left like that once you see these pictures. Thank you so kindly.
Are these copies of the pictures that you
Yes.
want to, Ms. Lambert can take those and she can circulate the photos
Thank you.
for us. Ms. Morris, since this is in District 2, I'm going to ask Mr. Carroll if he would like to speak to this. Plus, we did discuss this at our pre-conference meeting, so we have some information. But I'm going to ask Mr. Carroll if he would like to speak to it. Do you need her to stay, or are you going to ask any questions?
Well, it appeared from the sound of her action that she just wants us to see what the issues are. Has there been a formal complaint filed saying that the work is unsatisfactory?
I did call down and talk with. I have names that I've spoken with, dates and time. And the supervisor, excuse me, the supervisor that was working with the program came out 3 times. I called him 3 times because I saw that the work was not being done professionally. And the only thing I want you to do is look at it and correct the problem that's been damaged to my property.
Does your contract with the city require the city to provide the management staff to make sure that the work is correct?
I don't know anything about that. Only thing is I know that the person that came out that was in charge of the program, he spoke with me and told me what was supposed to have been done. So that's as far as I know.
But Ms. Morris, I guess what I'm asking is did you read the contract that the city?
I asked for a contract, but I never received one.
Ms. Morris, I have a contract right here. It has some signatures on it. I don't know if one of them is your name
Okay, when
or
the
not.
guy came out, he came out and said he had already been out, and it says damage. My theory is if it was supposed to be improved, it wasn't improved.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out here is whose responsibility was it to manage the contractor? Was it the homeowner's responsibility, or was it
I
the
did 3
city's?
times. I called him out there 3 times, and I have witnesses that I did. When the work was not being done right, I called him out. He wasn't too pleasant, but he came out 3 times, and I have it documented.
The contractor or the city? The individual from the
It was
city?
the city. He had a city car. He was in a city car, and the contractors as well.
So I guess what I'm asking now, the administration, whose responsibility was it to manage the contract and the quality of work? I think.
Mr. Woods?
So Mr. Roberts can probably answer any specific questions, but as to Mr. Carroll's question, this is an owner-controlled contract. The city does not manage the actual work. The city is not a party to the actual contract. And I did, Madam Chair, did provide a copy of the actual documents to Mr. Carroll just prior to this meeting. So he may not have had a chance to look at all of them, but we provided it to him.
So again, does the contract call for the city to manage the contractor or the homeowner?
The owner.
So once the contract is signed by the city, then the city no longer has any obligation to the homeowner?
Go ahead, Jamie.
Mr. Roberts is here. He manages the department. Jamie?
So the contracts between the homeowner and the contractor, the city is not a party to the contract at all, other than to process the bid options she has. The beginning of the process, she does an application to the city. Then we ask the applicant, once they're approved, do they want us to bid it out, or do they have 3 quotes they can go get on their own? A lot of them don't know contractors, so they ask us to bid it. So then we bid the work out, we write the scope up, our inspector writes that up. But the contractor is ultimately between the homeowner and the contractor.
So the management responsibility is also on the homeowner?
Yes.
So I just heard Ms. Morris state that she called someone 3 times and someone from the city came out to review the issues with the work by the contractor. Does that not put us in a position of liability?
I don't think so. The city's there to make sure the city funds are properly spent. So we're going to inspect the work to make sure the scope is finished because we wrote the scope that's inserted in the contract. As far as warranty work, the homeowner is responsible, if there is any, to call the contractor. And the contractor does other work for us because he's bidding on other projects. So we have leverage if they don't go respond to warranty work to call them to get them out there. But that's the extent of our.
So that at any point in time that we assume any leverage of liability to call the contractor to come back and help?
Like I said, we have other projects they're trying to bid on, so we can use that leverage to get them to come back out, but there's no requirement for them to go out. They can opt to not bid on future work if they want to also.
Again, on this project, did we assume any liability on calling the contractor to come back and complete or repair any unsatisfactory work?
I'll have to go check the file notes. I don't think so, other than when we heard she was having an issue, we asked him to go out there, and at last I heard he had gone out there, trimmed some hedges because there was some overspray from paint, but that was it.
Has the work been completed?
Yes.
Or corrected?
As far as I'm aware, it's been completed. I have the before and after pictures.
Ms. Morris, has the work been completed? Has any of the work been done?
Pardon?
Has any of the work been done?
No. They spray paint on my roof, my flowers, all over my house. The pictures are there to be seen.
The contract and the scope of work clearly calls for protective measures to be taken for overspray, protection of the grounds, also protection of the beds and standard practices of cutting 4 inches into the soil and providing coverage for plants and everything else is clearly defined in the contract. If the contractor did not provide those services and do those correctly, then there is an action of warranty needed, and therefore you should reach out to the contractor and have them do the work. The issue here is, in my mind, comes down to liability. Who is liable for making the call to the contractor, and also who is liable for the project management of the project? The contract here in the separate, there's 2 articles here. One is hold harmless affidavit, which you signed up front, holding the city harmless of any incorrectness or things that happen within the contract, which you assume full liability of managing the contractor itself. So the need or responsibility to call the contractor back and have them do the work falls on you, the homeowner. Now, leverage in completion normally goes back to whether or not the contractor has been paid their retainage. A lot of times, can't get a contractor back if the contractor's already been paid. So my next question is who paid the contractor? Because in the contract, it states clearly that the city will pay the contractor on behalf of the owner. So did the city pay the contractor all the funds in the contract before the work was satisfactorily accepted according to the contract?
Well, I called him out 3 times to look at the property. He said it was going to be corrected. It was not corrected. He sprayed my security lights, my air conditioner, my car, my plants. And you mean to tell me nobody's responsible for that? I called to get a contract. Nobody gave me a contract.
Ms. Morris, I'm saying that the contractor is responsible for the mistakes on the job. What I'm trying to do is find out now who's responsible for managing. And it sounds like the managing of the contract fell on the homeowner. But it also sounds as if, though, there's some gray in there because there's no section of the contract where it clearly states that the city's not responsible for managing the contract either, because the city has a responsibility of payment. Did the city make payment to the contractor for you in this case, or did you?
Now, I don't know about all of that now.
So the city made payment.
About all of that.
City made payment to the contractor.
Well, okay, I don't know.
Is that right, Jamie?
Okay.
So there's some.
So the contract has been paid.
Yeah, so the contract has been paid, but the work was unsatisfactorily completed. So there's still some. Yeah, but there's 2 sections here that clearly state that final payment can't be made until all necessary corrections or imperfections in the work are done. And evidently, the city has made final payment when there are outstanding corrections that need to be made. Somewhere we need to find a way to make all of this whole.
So let me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so two things. One, Ms. Morris has some documents that she's left. We do need to look at those documents to see what the actual complaints are, because I think there may be some set of confusion here. Because what I heard Ms. Morris talk about was paint on her car and paint her flowers and things. That is outside. This is a painting contract. This is just roofs and painting. So we'll need to look at what's done. If we're talking about the scope of work, remember the city is still not a party to that contract, but we do need to look at that. If we're talking about damage that was done outside of the scope of contract, that's clearly the contractor. And I want to point out, Ms. Carroll referenced the hold harmless agreement, which is the first document that I provided to him. And that it says the applicant hereby expressly agrees to hold the city wholly harmless from any damage or loss that may arise from this contract and from any collection or legal actions that may result from the applicant's termination or failure to abide by said contract. That's only within the scope of the contract that we're dealing with. If we're talking about damage to something outside of the house which was painted, that's something that has to be dealt with the contractor. But once again, we need to look at what Ms. Morris gave us and to be able to make a determination. She's asked us to investigate. We will look at it. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll report back to her.
May I speak once? May I speak again?
Well, do you have another question?
Yes.
Go ahead, just ask me, he can hear.
Okay. Only thing I'm asking is they put my house back the way it was because it's horrible.
I
that's
think
all I'm
maybe what we're looking at here, and William, correct me, is what recourse does Ms. Morrison have in this, correct? What recourse do you have going forward? Chris, Ricardo, either one of you all, if you want to chime in on this, because obviously she's got some issues and the city is involved.
Madam Chair.
Because it is a program that the city, sponsored, but of course it was a contractor who did the work and she has a contract. So she really needs to know what her recourse is.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Ms.
Bill.
Morris came down and gave some information to the clerk and asked that the city investigate her claims. The city's agreed to investigate her claims. I don't see that we need to proceed any further on this. The city's agreed to do what she asked them to do.
I can agree to the city now agreeing to investigate the claim. This morning, there was some unclarity as to the city's position, but after hearing all the elements that have been provided based on the contract signed and damages caused, then I think that I can agree that now the city will investigate and help find some type of resolution to this.
Thank you very kindly. All right. Have a good day.
Darlene Martin.
Good morning. My name is Darlene Martin, and I reside at 2411 Cross Street in the Africatown community. I'm here to speak about the current redistricting process. Last week, a coalition of community groups from across the city came together to present a number of alternative redistricting maps. This coalition included the Interdenominational Ministry Alliance, NAACP, and Stand Up Mobile, as well as other community leaders and members. While the map released last month by the mayor's office did not meet the legal and moral obligations the city has, the maps released last week by the Community Coalition does. And we all know the 2020 U.S. Census showed that the city of Mobile is now a majority people of color city, specifically with a majority Black population. This means the city is required to redraw the current city council district maps to reflect that and ensure that the Black citizens of the city of Mobile finally are properly represented here in Government Plaza. The two maps released last week are very close to the ones presented by the mayor, only moving a few neighborhoods in order to meet these obligations by meeting the threshold Black voting age population of 53% and 54% respectively. And they do this with only a few changes. This shows it can be done and quite easily. If you haven't already, we urge you to view these, show them to your constituents in your upcoming community meetings, and put it in your newsletters. It is possible to create a fair map, and our citizens should know that. And it is possible for us as a city to meet our obligations, do the right thing as for citizens, and move our city forward, united, knowing that all our citizens are finally properly represented. When Jesus came out of the wilderness after 40 days and was met by the opposition, he spoke his Father's words. 1 Corinthians 8, 1 through 3 says, "Now, as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifies. And if any man think that he knoweth nothing, yet as he ought to know, but if any man love God, the same is known of him. Just do what is right by him, not by you." Thank you.
Thank you.
Timothy Hollis. Following Timothy Hollis is Greg Harris.
Timothy Hollis, 1924 Seal Street. Here to speak on redistricting. Started off with a well-known quote. Democracy is government of, by, and for the people. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from earth. Abraham Lincoln. Redistricting. Some of you may care, some of you may not care. Some of you may be ignorant to the fact of what it actually is. Some of you may not care of the importance that you may look over. A few months ago, the people of Mobile chose you. But when we go to redistricting, now you choose your people. You're drawing your lines for what you believe should be your district, what people you should represent. Let's make sure that when we draw these lines, we're drawing these lines with moral reason. Let's make sure that when we do this, we don't follow the trend of the rest of the leaders throughout the state of Alabama. Go to YouTube and type in one word, redistricting, right now. The first thing comes up is Alabama, CNN, talking about how we always fail the people. But something so great about the city of Mobile, Mobile's different from every other city in this entire state. Mobile is a trailblazer. Mobile is a leader. Too many innovators, too many creators, too many inventors, too many world-renowned superstars come from this one city. Let's make this city reflect this greatness. Do not mess this up. Let's not take this to the Supreme Court, because I'm pretty sure that all of the people that have come to speak, just as we have come together right now to speak on this one issue of redistricting, we will still come together no matter what the result is. If it's not for the people, we will come together to make sure that it is for the people. If it is for the people, we will come together as one Mobile. Thank you.
Greg Harris. Following Greg Harris is Bessie McMillian.
Good morning. My name is Greg Harris. I reside at 3003 Chidester Avenue. Chidester, we've never really figured that out yet. I rise to speak to you today regarding the matter of redistricting or apportionment. I moved back to Mobile in 2015 because I see Mobile as being the heart of Dixie, and if change happens anywhere, it must happen here, and the state will follow. And just like my esteemed colleague said before me, let's not fall into the same victims as what the state has had to endure over the last couple of years. Let's not have ourselves tied in the useless litigation over a very solvable and manageable issue. Now, if multiple community organizations can come together and put together what are reasonable maps under the law, I believe that this council can as well, and I urge you to take your job seriously and then do that. Mobile is relying upon you for way more than a very simple issue of drawing fair lines. As we have seen, our crime continues to rise, our streets are continuing to decay. We need to solve problems that are solvable in Mobile, starting with redistricting and continuing on from there. We held you in these positions to do that, and it dismays me to see that my own District 1 representative is not here, but I do know that these messages are recorded and the minutes are documented so that he can go back and reflect and see that we are very serious about the aims of our community, and we are very determined to see that we have proper and adequate representation in this city. That's what I rise to say. I'll try to be brief today because I know I can speak forever. But very simply, let's do our jobs. Let's actually stand up for Mobile. Let's do something right for a change and set an example for the rest of the state and make my city the place that I know it can and will be. Thank you. I yield my time.
Bessie McMillian. Following Bessie McMillian is Reverend L.C. Green.
I am Bessie McMillan. I reside at 6236 Summer Place Drive North in Mobile, and that is District 7. I will not be repetitive. I only ask that you do the right thing for all citizens, all of your constituents. Thank you.
Reverend Green, L.C. Green.
Oh, can we, you got a microphone for him?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Elsie Green. I live at 1500 Hillcrest Road.
That's it. It's on.
Yeah, go ahead and give him the microphone, please.
Just give it a second. Once you turn it on. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Lifesaver. L.C. Green, 1500 Hillcrest Road. And I come this morning just to talk about the redistrict, and I want to keep it in front of us. I was so glad I was here for that presentation. We're getting ready to highlight Mobile. We're getting ready to tell the world what Mobile looked like. And I think that the redistricting would be one of the things that we could highlight. We could say we represent all of our citizens. A map was presented that would make a lot of folks happy. It will comply with the law. And I come this morning because I seemed like we had a lot of hesitation on trying, and let me say this, you heard all these organizations that I represent, and I really believe y'all want to do right. And I stand up every time I get a chance and say that the mayor and the city council you want to do right. You want to do right. And I think the map that was presented to you it's the right choice. I believe it's right. I believe it'll make everybody happy. And that's hard to do. It's hard to make everybody happy. But I found out if you do right, the majority of the folks will be happy. And it didn't take long for people to put a map together that meet the requirements that you have to meet. And y'all, I always say y'all much smarter than us. So, if the map is in front of you and you really want to do right, I heard one of my friends say something that we come up here all the time and it seems to be a lack of concern and a lot of hesitation. But let me say this, those of us that's been doing this for a long time, we realize that hesitation takes place, think we're going to go away. But I just want to say we're not going away. We're not going away. We can drag our feet or act unconcerned, but we're not going away. That means my time is up. Does that appeal mean?
You got a little bit more.
One minute. I just want to say that y'all, please, when I say y'all, council, mayor, join the rest of us who want to do right and really consider the map that was presented to you. Thank you so much.
Ms. President.
Mr. Carroll?
Thank you. Since this does not have an agenda item to speak to other than the rather than the racial polarization study and the other item, I kind of want to brief everyone in the city as to what's going on very short, just in a quick few few statements. In the previous council meeting, two versions of redistricting maps were submitted to the city. They were submitted by Stand Up Mobile and a coalition of other citizens and ministers and people from all around the city, where they took a good look at the maps that were presented by the administration to the council. This group now knows that any decisions on redistricting now lie solely in the hands of the council. And this group has continued to advocate for redistricting to match the population of the city. I have, since last week, asked the administration in a written email to provide certain census tracts, certain boundaries, certain map overlays, so that I can personally vet the maps that were presented by Stand Up Mobile and the coalition and ministers and everyone else to assure that the maps were viable. Now, in going through the process, I have seen a few things that may vary just a little bit from that map, and we'll talk about those in the redistricting meetings, but one that really stands out are several census tracts along Spring Hill Avenue that seem to not have even been considered in the original presentation by the administration to the council. Those census tracts have been considered in the maps that were provided by Stand Up Mobile and the other coalition or members of the group. But again, right now, I will not be able to totally tell until we have the information that's been requested of the administration so that I can overlay and make sure that everything is correct. Hopefully we'll have that soon and I'll be able to talk with everybody else now. If those maps do meet the standard, then based on the resolution that was written and presented and approved by this council, then I will issue those maps in the form of an ordinance that will be totally different from the ordinance that is issued by the administration. Pass or fail, however it goes, but I will go through that process and issue those maps. Now, if there are any other people or groups or individuals in the city that find another way that may be better than the way that's been presented, then the three maps that have been presented already that actually give true equity and value to the population of the city, then I will be glad to present those also in the form of an ordinance to be considered by this council. I don't see it as being a way to bargain. And I keep saying this. Why do the people of the city of Mobile have to simply bargain with council members to do what's right? We are elected by the people to do the people's bidding. And the majority of the people in this city are speaking out loud for what the majority of the people in the city would like. We as council members have a responsibility to the total population to do what's right, not to accept or want to do what we individually think that we should have in one of our neighborhoods or census tracts or district lines. So as we get closer to this, I hope that we as elected officials will find a way to vote in favor of what the people want, as opposed to what we individually think the districts should look like.
Ms. Lambert?
Reggie Hill regarding Ordinance 6239, Resolution 6239, 01241, 01243, 08247, 6197, and 6173.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Psalm 31 tells us
Mr.
that.
Hill, please give us your name and address for the record.
Oh, it's coming.
We know, but just for the record.
Excuse me, these 9 scores of seconds, they just speed by. Citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. Psalm 31 tells us that the Lord preserves the faithful and fully repays the arrogant. I rise today to discuss those items listed by City Clerk's office. First, 60-239. This one-time upcoming event for my alma mater, Murphy High School, I believe $3,500 according to the pre-meeting. Is there anything that would prevent this body from passing this unanimously? And upon approval, how long will it take for Murphy to get the resources? 01-241. While we have a rich baseball history in Mobile, Alabama, we don't have $1 million to spend on this. Maybe the city should partner with MLB or local enthusiasts to fund the project. I will speak more on this in the coming weeks. 60-173. For the past several weeks, we've seen more than capable organizations provide viable solutions towards reapportionment in the city of Mobile. Plus, we don't, again, have the money for this. Lastly on that, are there any consulting considerations thus far? 60-197. Once again, we don't have the money for a racial polarization study. Now, do we need to complete one? That might be a different question. And the Zogby Act grants the city council discretion to determine its members, much like the Electoral College, but a lot of our people are unaware of that. So let's not even open this senseless can of worms. I'll speak more on that in the upcoming weeks as well. 08-247. How in the world, with children starving and unattended homeless population and ever-growing violent criminal activity, are we even considering this? We don't have $630,000 to spend on some chairs at the convention center? Did we not just discuss this morning that we're losing nearly $500,000 annually at the convention center? And we're going to spend $630,000 on some chairs. Please, let's take this up later. 01-243. I agree with Mr. Reynolds' sentiments regarding the board ordinance as well. I believe that this is something that specifically should be bidded right here locally. Many people here have ideas and plans, and we need to quit wasting money going to other places to tell us how to live in Mobile. 22-220. I urge my fellow citizens to please pray for our city's decision makers. God's not pleased with this. We have ARP funds, which is designed to help out the least fortunate, but we're spending over $500,000 on surveillance, some cameras. We're not going to police ourselves domestically or out of town out of our public safety matters. And until we start really considering what we're doing with these dollars, we're never going to improve the quality of life in the city of Mobile. Thanks for yielding the floor. I hope to have some of these questions answered.
Robert Cook regarding Ordinance 64011.
Good morning, Robert Cook, 4104 not Woodhill, I used to live there, Ridgelawn Drive. Appreciate y'all's time this morning. I won't rehash everything I said last week, but I'm here on behalf of Castordi LLC and Fikes Wholesale, who are the parent company for Sefco Convenience Stores. And like I said, I won't rehash everything, but just did want to point out that this property was approved by the Planning Commission and its staff and recommended for zoning approval. And the developers agreed to develop it, with the restrictions and guidelines from the Planning Commission. But most importantly, this property in the future land use map is a mixed-use commercial corridor. This use fits the uses outlined in that. So I think it certainly meets the criteria and the guidelines for what we're trying to do for the future of the city. So thank you.
Lambert.
Ordinance is held over. 64010, rezone property located at 1451 Cedar Crescent Drive from R3 to R3 to remove conditions of existing zoning amendment. 64011, rezone property located at the southwest corner of Ziegler Boulevard and North University Boulevard from R1 to B2. 88012, ordinance authorizing acquisition of real property, lots 1 and 2, Municipal Park.
So moved.
Any discussion on any of these ordinances? I do have a little bit of discussion on 64-011, which is the rezoning at University and Ziegler. And we did hear from some neighbors. We held a community meeting. The Planning Commission had it on their agenda, but agreed to hold over the proposal so that a community meeting could be held, which we did. The developers came and provided information and answered questions. There were several members of Emmanuel Baptist Church who were there. Their property backs up to this development. They are really the only property that actually backs up to it. They had some concerns that later on they were able to work out concessions with the property owner. We appreciate all the concerns of neighbors. We hear a lot of things like this from neighbors during some rezoning efforts, like extra traffic, more noise, potential for crime to exist. And we hear you and we appreciate those concerns. However, this is a mixed-use corridor. It's heavily commercial. There is a Chevron gas station and convenience store directly across the street. So there is precedent set for that. It would be difficult to say yes to one and not to the other. So with that and the fact that it is a 4-lane highway on University Boulevard, Ziegler Boulevard is also has widening underway as well. The traffic is heavy. There is no doubt about that. Population has moved west. People use those two traffic corridors for school, for work. They're just both very, very busy, and we understand that. We have requested that the service station reduce their hours so that they will more likely mirror what is across the street. Most of their stations, as I understand it, are open 24/7. So we have asked if they would reduce their operating hours, and it looks like they are going to agree to that. Also put some signage up to reduce any noise that may happen while people are filling up their vehicles. So again, because of all of those reasonings and the approval by the Planning Commission, I would ask that you all support this rezoning. Any other discussion on any of these items? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consent resolutions held over. 40033, declare the structure at 456 Elmwood Drive a public nuisance and order it demolished.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions held over. 60173, authorize council president to enter into a retainer agreement or contract to review the reapportionment ordinance.
Is there a motion? All right, because there is no motion then, William?
I'll entertain the motion.
All right, is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion?
Yeah. So that the gallery, the public, the audience knows it's unfortunate that this is going to fail today. It's going to fail today because, one, we don't have the entire council here, and it's also going to fail today because of an abstention or someone abstaining. I don't know how the others are going to vote, but it's clear that this won't pass. But believe me, this goes on because it can be resubmitted under another number and put back onto the agenda in another form, in the same form under another number. However, it was asked that this also go to committee, and because of the failure to find the consensus in time to host a committee meeting, we still haven't done that yet. So this will not die here. It will come back. So let's not lose hope with the actions that you see taken up here today on this dais.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Abstain.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Motion fails.
60197, authorize the council to hire a consultant to perform provide a racial polarization study.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
Motion fails.
What was the count?
3-2.
3-0.
Just as a point of clarification, we at the council, on most of the items that come before us, are required to have a supermajority vote. That means 5 people. Unfortunately, 2 of our members are out today, so because it was a 3-2 vote, this motion also fails.
For clarification, it was a 3-0.
Well,
Abstentions are still considered. Okay, but again, this will be back.
Okay,
But
discussion time is over.
with the view, Madam President, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege.
All right, go ahead.
But knowing that this can come back and seeing the count today, then we have some hope with this item, but we have yet some work to do with the other.
Ms. Lambert?
01217, authorize agreement with AltaPoint Health Systems for evaluation work on collaborative crisis response training program grant. 01218, authorize agreement with Hargrove Associates for Bienville Square fountain improvements and site amenities. 08219, approved purchase order to Alabama Pipe and Supply for concrete median barriers. 60221, approved settlement agreement and release of claims.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21220, authorized contract with Alabama Power Company for service in telemetry technology deployment, networking, and software.
Move to hold over 1 week.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Wait, 1 minute.
Discussion?
Are these the cameras for Alabama Power?
Correct.
Is there any reason why we're laying this over a week?
I believe Mr. Reynolds had some questions that he was trying to get answered, correct, Mr. Reynolds?
That is correct. I intend to have a meeting with public safety to better understand the protections that are in place for our citizens' privacy.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinances being introduced. 64013.
By council rules, this ordinance will lay over 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced. 31223 through 37252.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolutions 31223 through 37252.
All in favor?
Need a
Did you get a
second.
second?
Oh, exactly. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
31223, authorized grant, 31223, 224, 225, 226, 227, 228 are authorizing grant applications to the Daniel Foundation of Alabama, the Verizon Foundation for Gulf Quest National Maritime Museum, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Homeland Security Grant, U.S. Department of Education, through the Alabama Career Center, the U.S. Department of Education, excuse me, through the Alabama Career Center, the Department of Health and Human Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, First Responders Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act Grant. 37229, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a special events retail license for Lit Cigar Lounge for Sip and Paint at Cooper Riverside Park. 37230, 231 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor class 2 package store license for DIP Package Store on Dauphin Island Parkway, and for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for DIP Food Mart on Dauphin Island Parkway. 4232, 233, and 235 are declaring the structures at 963 Donald Street, 1818 Indian Creek Drive South, ordering the carport demolished and the shed house secured, and 714 Irish Avenue, public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 58, 236, and 237 are authorizing removal of weeds and assessing costs for removal of weeds, groups 1625 and 1620. 60, 238, and 239 are determining appropriations to Ambitiously Him and Her King Foundation serves a public purpose and approving payment, and to determine appropriation to Murphy High School serves a public purpose and approving payment. 37, 252 recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to T. Marie's Restaurant on Government Street.
So moved.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones?
A couple of comments with these. First of all, I said this in pre-council, but I would like to say it again. Congratulations to our grant writing team for all the hard work and efforts. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars of grants to this city that comes through the hard work and efforts, and those are nothing small, and this is competing on a national scale that's extremely competitive. So every time we receive a grant, that's free money to the city, and it's also notability and notoriety to the city on a national scale. So thank you for that. With regards to 6239, the Murphy High School appropriation, that is for their school JROTC team to go compete at the national level and represent the city. They do that quite often. They've got a very renowned program there. The students are absolutely exemplary, and they did all the fundraising they could do. They came up about $3,500 short, and my colleagues stepped up to the plate and all agreed to fund this $3,500 so that they could go and compete at this competition. So thank you for that. To answer Mr. Hill's questions, we have about 3 weeks to get them the money, or they will not be on the bus. So there is a time constraint there. On 6238, I had an opportunity this week to meet with the organizer of Ambitiously Him and Her King Foundation Services. And if you'll stand up and introduce yourself to us.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Harris James. I am the board member for Ambitiously Him and Her King Foundation. Our founder is LaTanya Patterson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will tell you, she is native Mobilian, single parent who came back to Mobile because this is her home, and she's also an Army veteran. So thank you for your service and for coming back home and for what you're doing to make Mobile a better place. And look forward to watching you grow and help nourish our community with all the efforts that you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
4234, declare the structure at 3352 Dolphin Island Parkway a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Move to table.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions being introduced, 01240 through 31248.
Said resolutions will lay over 1 week pursuant to council rules.
Call for public hearings, 41249. Call for public hearing to consider a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Edwards Automotive doing business as Premier Transit to operate a sedan service scheduled March 29th. 41250. Call for public hearing to rezone property located at 3015 and 3019 Pleasant Valley Road from R1 to R3, scheduled April 12th. 41250. Call for public hearing to rezone property located at 5400 Hamilton Boulevard from I-2 to I-1, scheduled April 12th.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Announcements. I'm not sure, Madam President, Vice President, if Megan Huffman has arrived yet with Carnival Cruise Lines.
Y'all seen Ms. Huffman?
Yeah, the cake is in the atrium.
We had someone scheduled from Carnival Cruise Lines to be here with us today, and she had some issues with her flight into Mobile. So doesn't look like she has arrived.
The flight is, she's landed.
Oh, she has
She's
landed?
just in transit.
She's in transit. Oh, well, let's see if we can draw these out. Anybody know about where she is, ETA? Oh, about noon? We're running early? Is that what you're telling us?
We can recess and come back.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and do our announcements, and maybe she'll get here a little early. Let's start at the end, Mr. Jones.
Have is that we'll have my next district meeting on the 14th of April at the Connie Hudson Center at 6:30 p.m. The focus of that meeting will again be on public safety and 311 process and initiatives that we have there. Thank you.
Carol?
Thank you. It's not often that I get a chance to highlight the talent in the city of Mobile and the exceptional things that our kids do here. I'd like to just take a few minutes and congratulate the Harmon Park Suns for winning the 8U State Recreation Championship this weekend. What a great job that these young men have done. I say young men, but they're 8 years old. You know, it's not often that we get to see kids play outside anymore. When we grew up, we played outside in the streets all day long. We could play basketball in 100-degree weather and wouldn't care. So I'm proud to say that I'm a proud, supporter of these two parks, and congratulations to both of these age groups, one from Kidd Park and the other one from Harmon Park. The other thing is that the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star basketball game was played in this month. And from Mobile, Barry Dunning, it was the MVP of this All-Star game. He is a Mobile native, lives here. His parents are from District 2 out of the Rickaby Park area, and you do know his uncle. We call his uncle Skeeterhawk, played for the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan on several national championship teams in the NBA. So what a talent and what a wealth of resources that we have in our city when it comes to recreation and sports and all that great stuff that we do. Tonight, I am hosting at the Hope Community Center a community meeting. In that meeting, we are going to have the lawyers that represent Chippewa Falls or Lakes on the rezoning ordinance or on the rezoning opportunity for the old Lad Supply property. If you have any concerns about that or want to speak to that, please be there. I think that this section of the meeting may take maybe 1 or 2 meetings, but we will discuss it tonight and get it out into the opening. We're also going to talk about redistricting tonight briefly and where we are. We'll have replicas of map 2.8, which is the one that is on the agenda now, and also I'll have some flyers of the possible map that's been presented by the coalition. Blight and crime and being able to get properties back onto the tax rolls. We'll discuss that. Hopefully we'll have Jamie there tonight and a few others. The UDC. I've gotten several questions on the UDC now that it has seen some planning commission attention, and there have been questions about the overlay in Africatown. Those questions are relating now to environmental issues and things like that. So I'm going to allow a few minutes to talk about that. And going forward, I have scheduled 5 additional meetings throughout the district to talk about all these things so that the people in our district get a clear and comprehensive knowledge of what we are doing down here and to get it personally from us and not via email or text or some entity that they may miss. Madam Vice President, that's all I have at this time. I hope I didn't miss anything from the past week because we've had quite a bit going on in District 2. Forgot to say congratulations to the Festival of Flowers and also to the Chili Cook-Off. I attended both, had a great time at both venues. Really enjoyed it. It's good to see all the great things going on in the city of Mobile.
All right. Thank you. And you need to invite the Harmon basketball team to Harmon Park to come on down and be recognized and take some pictures with us.
That's next week, Ms.
Ah,
Next
good.
week.
Great minds thinking
Excellent.
alike. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Reynolds?
No announcements.
All right. Mr. Daves?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to announce that there will be a District 5 community meeting 1 week from today, March 22nd, at 6 o'clock p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church at the corner of Airport Boulevard and Sage Avenue. This is where we have really always met the last several years. That's a wonderful venue. They're very nice to let us use that. It's centrally located in the district. So that's 6 o'clock p.m., 1 week from today, Westminster Presbyterian Church. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carroll, you have one more?
Yes. On March 25th at the Sullivan Center, the Lafayette Heights community is going to have, and Lafayette Heights would appreciate or have a meeting of appreciation that day. It'll be a fun day. It will last from 5 to 7 p.m. And they would like to invite everyone from the public that is interested in coming out and seeing their community and what they're doing to come out and just enjoy the afternoon, talk with them, and let's advance our city. The contact over there is Mary Stevenson. I like to call her Q. She's extremely active, and I'm pretty sure many of you know her. So if you would, please, on the 25th, please come out to the Sullivan Center or the Old Peters Park from 5 to 7 p.m.
And one announcement from District 7, we will be hosting a meeting on Thursday, that's the 17th, for residents in Park Forest. There was interest among some of the residents to form either a community action group or a homeowners association. Postcards have already been received by residents in Park Forest. So again, that will be this Thursday at the Emmanuel Baptist Church, in case anyone is interested who did not receive a postcard. But it is for Park Forest residents who are interested in forming one of these groups. And we have invited members of the administration to also come to introduce themselves, to give them a bit of an update about some things that are going on in the district and the city, similar to what they would be able to get during regular CAG meetings or HOA meetings if they should form one. Any other announcements? Anything else from the council?
Motion to adjourn.
Have we got anything else from? Right here? Why don't we?
Ms. President, instead of a motion to adjourn, motion to recess. 15 minutes.
Well, maybe not 15 minutes. Why don't we recess until we see her? Maybe, how long you think? 10 minutes maybe? But y'all stay close by in case she gets here so that we don't have to start rounding everybody up. But we will recess.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We'll recess for 10 minutes.